Hey, it's just a little video of a little bit about the history of our farm. It's probably going to be about as entertaining as Cousin Eddie's slide show of his trip to Detroit or something. But anyway, you might find it entertaining a little bit. There's some old pictures of some of our old tractors. And I realized when doing this video that we don't have a single picture of when Dad and my grandfather were farming with horses. Don't have a single picture of them. It's a shame. But anyhow, I hope you enjoy seeing a little bit about the history of our farm. Catch you later. This is one of the oldest photographs we have of our farm, taken I guess in the 30s. Didn't have the big cow barn put up yet. Here's a picture of the cow barn right after they put it up with the silo. You can see the red barn still behind it. Another very, very old picture. May have been in the late 20s. You can, if you look real close, on the top left by the roof line of the house, you can see the water tower, the cistern that was there. They would fill it up with a pump and then gravity feed into the house. This picture taken in, I guess, about 1929 or something. In front of the house they had some sheep. That's my dad when he was a kid. And if you look real close to the right of the house, you can see an old Model A Ford car there. This is a charcoal drawing of the farm done by my grandmother, Miss Jenny, my step-grandmother, I guess you'd have to say. Miss Jenny Richardson. She was a good artist. She did a lot of charcoal drawings. This is Dad with one of my sisters. They have a bottle feeding a calf. They used to go up to the Naval Academy dairy and get any bull calves that were born, because they didn't want any bull calves. They'd bring them home and feed them out. There's Dad driving, of all things, a Farmall Cub going past the garage. It was a neighbor's tractor they would borrow when they needed a little one. And you can see my grandfather on this old cleat track crawler that they had. It was the first thing they bought with a motor on it to farm with. They've been farming with horses. You can see he's disking there, and you can see in the background a John Deere Van Brunt drill. I guess it's pulled by a case. He had bought a case also. And then he bought the 520. Here's my grandfather. We called him Pop Pop. And one of my much older cousins out in the tobacco field. This was a field up in the woods by the tobacco beds. And I guess that Alice Chalmers was the neighbor's tractor. There's the old SC case pulling the wagon load of tobacco. Of course, after the case, you got the old Poppin' Johnny, the 520. And after that, all the tractors we would get would have green paint on them. Never went back to any other brand. Some of the hogs we used to have out in the lot there. We had one of our big bulls that we had back then. That's me on my sister's pony, Dusty. I guess like in 1969. So it must have been 5 or 6. There's a picture with a winter shot with the snow on the ground. This is in the barnyard. Used to let the little pigs run loose around in there. Sometimes they'd get in the yard and root up terrible. In '69 we bought this 2020 John Deere from the dealer, Unger Motors, who was 5 miles from our place, and drove it home. I rode with Dad, and I remember on the ride back I asked him, why does the exhaust smell different than Poppin' Johnny's? He told me it's because it was a diesel tractor. They smelled different. And this is a picture 10 years later when we traded it in on the 2840. There's the first old A I bought, actually when I was 12. If you look behind me up in that shed up there, you can see tobacco hanging in the corn house. I bought that tractor actually to give to my dad. It was a 44A. And that little building just above the hood of the tractor in the background was a little hog shed. Picture the old case tractor when I was a kid. I used to ride the thing around the neighborhood before I had a car. I'm talking about when I was 12 or 13 or something. Drive it around somewhat. Don't know why I put that weight bracket on there. There's an old A we got when I was early teens, I guess. Cleaned them up, fixed them up, used them around the farm a little bit. I actually put a turbocharger on it later on. That's the day the 2840 was delivered. Traded that 2020 in. This is just Dad on the 2840. He really liked that tractor. He liked the 2020 also. It could do a tremendous amount of work. He really liked that 2840. I know a lot of people didn't think much of the 2840. Said it had troubles here and there, but we never had any problems with this one. We even had a turbo I put on it. Never had any issues, so I always said it was a real good tractor. This is Dad out with the hogs, and this fella here is a guy, him and his wife, that were filming the documentary in 1988 that we had. He was taking a college course and wanted to do some kind of documentary, and I don't know how in the world he got in touch with us down here, but anyhow, that's Grandpa out there with the pigs while Mr. Welty is filming him. That's Dad with my niece. They had just finished gathering some eggs. It's the old chicken house back here. There's Grandpa, Dad. I got in the habit of calling Dad Grandpa when the kids were little, our kids. But that's Dad out there, just finished loading up some tobacco on the wagon, getting ready to take it up to the barn. That's my nephew sitting on the back there. Here they are heading off to the barn. Taking it to the lower barn. Those are 5-foot sticks for hanging in the lower barn. All that whole field, I guess that was the last load. That whole field was a tobacco field, 5 5.5 acres. Got it all cut. This is a picture of the cow pasture from the top of the silo. I was up there leveling the silage down. This is a picture from the top of the silo looking east over the roof of the cow barn and the red barn that we hung the back in. Bird's eye view of the neighbor's 4040 John Deere that we had borrowed to run the blower, blow the silage up. There's Dad on the 2840 coming up, pulling the silage wagon up out the field. We never planted silage in that field before or since that I remember. There's a really steep place down there called a mountain, and we had silage in there that year. Here he is pulling the silage wagon. We borrowed the one from across the road from the neighbor's place. He's going past where I have the shops right now. This is before I had any shops. You can see the little red tractor right there to the right of the screen, and this barnyard area, I guess where the fence, we had hogs running in there. And of course that's me at my first tractor pull on Poppin' Johnny 2, the old R. A couple years later, this was a 4010 with a little turbo on it and some 24-inch tires. Did some pulling with that. That's a pretty picture of the old unstyled A that we got. Turned out that it was the first John Deere tractor sold in our county. We didn't know that when we got it, but the original owner's family came by one day and told us a lot about it. Old John, they called him. And there's all the kids on their pedal tractors in front of the old unstyled A. Two of my boys out in the garden. Dad wanted them to pose like that famous poster thing where the boys are saying, "You been farming long?" Them two little kids in their overalls. And the boys out in the tobacco field. Matthew got himself a snake. JD's fixing to whack him with the knife. The snake, not Matthew. Yeah, we are riding a tobacco planter. Dad driving the old Poppin' Johnny back and forth across the field. More recent pictures that were taken of the farm. Here's an aerial shot showing the farm from the, I guess it's the north side of the farm, facing south. Alright, you've seen how we farmed this piece of ground over the years, and if you've watched any of my other videos, then you certainly have seen how we do it now. It's not much different than it was done 50 years ago. We might even taken a step backwards in a couple of different ways, but anyway, we're still squeaking out a living somehow, enjoying living off the land. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, so go ahead and subscribe. And if you know how to share the video with anybody you think might enjoy it, do that too. That helps a bunch. And leave a comment. That helps get YouTube to think people are interested in it, and they'll recommend it more. Thanks a bunch. Appreciate it.